Well, good morning everybody, and how was your freedom dance? How did you like the emotional roller coaster of forgiving and loving yourself and putting the past exactly to sleep and starting fresh with your new life? Today we're going to learn some really friendly brain ways to have comprehension. Now, we started out a little bit ago by talking about getting a diary, and in that diary, maybe on one page or notebook, is movies for 2022. And listing, I want to go once a month, and you mark it down in August, I went here, and here's who I went with, and I went with my mom and dad, or my boyfriend or girlfriend, or a group of friends, and here's what we've seen. It's important that you have little victories. You're teaching your mind, anything I want to do, I can do. It's important you make your bed every day, just like in the military. You start out with a little victory. Hey, my bed's made. Picked up the socks. Hey, I'm cleaner. Washed off the sink. Put everything away. I'm getting organized. As you organize your life to have a better and more productive life, you have to, just like the word per minute, you have to be able to see your stats. It's real important that you enjoy pleasure, because we start with pleasure. We all love pleasure. We all hate pain. So going out to eat is pleasurable. Going to the movies is pleasurable. Going to a ball game is pleasurable. Set goals on how you have these pleasures. After a while, all you know is whatever you write down, you achieve it. Your mind becomes habit. Oh, once a week I go out to eat. Once a week I go to the movies, or once every 2 weeks I go to the movies. Or on Sundays I watch an NFL game and I play in the pick 'em pool, or whatever you want to call it, the pro pick 'em. Whatever it is, make sure you track things. When you write down things, it takes on a power of a desired result. So we're going to talk about making sure that you list in your book your movies, skip a few pages, list when you go to church, whatever your goals are, list them down. And it might be 5 or 6, and every year you expand it. And I used to put what I wanted to do in the yard every year, or what I wanted to take and build the barn into an office. You know, I put down I wanted to build the barn into an office in 1995, and within 2 years I had spent $120,000 on parts. I would go on a trip and sell above my budget. Everything was paid for. And out of that barn, 2 years later, we're doing $10 million a year, and we had 21 employees. I visualized what I wanted to create. I wanted French tile floors on my barn. I wanted siding on the barn. I wanted French doors on the barn. I wanted to have a kitchen, a cafeteria, a shipping room, a room to cut out, and a room to assemble the jewelry. Before I made any of that, I started with that plan. And I put the date and the month I would go on this trip, and I would come back and buy so many 2x4s. The date and the month I would go buy more. The date and the month I would do the work. In a couple of years, everything I planned fell right into the system. So what we're going to do is get in the habit of winning, and you start with your pleasure goals. Okay. Real important that you get a pen and a paper. And the first way to take notes is called capture and create. When you take notes, you draw a line down the page. So you're reading any information. You draw a line down the page. On the left, you put capture. You take notes literally, point by point. You write what this is about. On the right, create. You're taking notes about your impressions about the information. So if I'm going to read a book on planting out a garden, I may not know all the terms of the book. And I understand a tiller, but maybe you don't know what a tiller is. It says rent a rear tine tiller. Okay, over there I'm going to ask the question, what's a rear tine tiller? kind of have an idea it must dig up the ground. But over here, you read about how to plant a flower garden, how to put in pavers, how to do whatever you want to do. And over here, anything that leaves an impression of an answer I don't know, what a tiller is. Maybe it says measure down and you're putting pavers around your flower gardens. It says measure down to put 2 pavers under the ground. Well, if you start on the high side and go down, it's still going to be higher than the low side. So you have to start on the low side of the hill and go 2 down, maybe step it up. Or if it's just a little incline, it might be a little deeper digging as you go up. But you read how to read a level. You read how to put rocks down as the base. Everything that I needed to know about fixing Rhonda's yard into a fantastic amount of flower gardens, I just read about it. I'm like, okay, there's how to do it. I read it, and it's how to estimate. And I swear to goodness, I go and buy 1,050 pavers, and when we get done, I have 2 left. And I said, well, that was pretty good. And I was teasing her, I said, how in the world could I be 2 off? So she's laughing at me because she's like, what, where did you come from? And when I built her paver patio, we had nothing left. I had exactly the amount of sand. I read exactly the dimensions and read how to figure out the math. And it's so wonderful because I didn't have to spend extra stuff. I didn't have to go back and get more. I didn't have to guess. I knew how to figure it out. Well, if you're going to do a project like that and you don't have the math skills yet, then use your calculator. Or take the dimensions and ask somebody else at the hardware store or at Lowe's or Levy's, how do you figure out how many pavers you need? How long are they? So, reading is the solution to the answers. When you ask questions, you increase your memory of the questions, and your mind wants to know where are the answers. So you're actually saying, what's a rear tine tiller in the example? Later on you read about a rear tine tiller, so now you search for that answer, so you're learning it twice. The right side of your brain is the imagination, the creative side of the brain. The brain is stimulated by questions. The second way to take notes that I suggest is called mind mapping. Going to use the right side of your brain on a piece of paper. You capture the main ideal and put the main ideal in a circle in the middle of the page. You put the sub or supporting ideals in circles like a spokes of the wagon wheel. So if I'm going to create a flower garden, the goal, flower garden. Over here, how many pavers do I need? Over here, do I need a rear tine tiller to dig up the side? It's not that big, I can just do it with a spade. Over here, what kind of things am I going to put in here? Am I going to put in rose bushes, or am I going to put in perennials, or whatever you call them, and annuals? That's okay, you don't have to be perfect. So some words from years ago I still get stuck on, but that's just fine. Whatever it is, to put the moss in there and put the vitamins in there to grow the things when you transplant them, you learn it all. So that's your supporting questions. And with each circle, you ask 5 W's and the H. By asking questions, then in a different color pen, write the recalled answers. By using different color pens, the mind will see and apply more information to that area. That's why we do colors in the books, to stimulate the mind. Who, what, when, where, how. Answer all these things about each one in the circle. When do I want to build this garden? Who's going to do it? Do I need help? How am I? So it answers all the questions. And the third way to take notes is quad mind mapping. You read your notes the same way as you do the second. Then the next day, you read a small summary of the material. And then you understand, when you expose your brain to something 3 times or 4 times, more of it sticks. When you go through your lesson book, you'll see same things over and over and over. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can, I will, I will, I will, I got the juice, I got the fire. Over and over and over and over, you're being taught the same material several times. Because as you get past 3 and 4, you're going to remember it all. It's going to start flowing into you now. The speed is going to settle down. 400, 450. You're going to have some more growth and go from 450 to 600 or 700. But now the comprehension is going to start coming to where it's like, I've got the rhythm of my finger. I'm using my peripheral vision. I'm using water. I have a bottle of water with me all the time. Every 15 minutes I have a drink. All these little things start changing you from the cell inside your body, from the single cells out. Your body's performing better because you're doing more oxygen for the body, you're doing more water for the body. Now, I have the rule of 7. It's plus or 2. 7 plus or minus 2. So what that means is, if I want to ask 7 questions on some information, I do not ask more than 9, and I don't go fewer than 5. If you get into technical reading and technical information, you don't want to get so bogged down with intricacies of the details, so you want to keep your questions when you're quad mapping to 5 to 9. Especially if you're studying for a final in high school or college or going to make a big presentation at work, you want to have a method on how you can map this information down. And when you do all this, you're going to be standing on top of the mountain looking down on everybody else. I always tell everybody, information is like Michelangelo's statue of David. When he first started, he seen in his mind David as a finished result. It was up to him to chisel away the extra pieces he didn't need. Him and Rodin were the first to put veins into marble. Amazing, huh? Hundreds of years later, it's still like, oh my gosh. If you go to Rome and you see some of the Colosseum, or if you go to the Vatican and you see all this stuff, you know, it's unbelievable what we could do as craftsmen 100, 200 years ago. I gave a piece of jewelry to the Vatican for the Pope in 2015. Me and Raphael Crispino were there. And it was a $120,000 piece for the Vatican. And I liked it because they said, well, we're going to put it somewhere in the cathedral. Well, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. So you look inside the Sistine Chapel Cathedral, there's where Michelangelo painted the ceiling, and my piece of jewelry is going to be in there for all times. How cool is that? I knew that we would do things like this when I was in the barn buying my 2x4s. I visualized starring in Vegas, headlining, teaching, doing things for charity, doing things to get recognition. We did a lot of charity work. We always gave back. And we did the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, with the Pope, all kinds of stuff. So in my head, in my mind, I mapped out that dream like I was reading from a history book. And I quad mapped, this is what I'm going to do. And I met Raphael and said, hey, this is how we can go to Italy and use your cameos and my skill to set stuff to get worldwide attention. And we did. And it worked. But I planned it out years before I actually became very famous. Isn't that cool? I planned out what my success would be. All right, so let's focus on the quad mapping. Focus on breathing correctly. Let's focus on using the indentation method. And now we're going to read, and we'll let you do the 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise at home. And it's the practice with stretching your mind. So as you do the 4, 3, 2, 1 at home tonight, have your little timer out, and now you be the one that says, I gotta go faster, I gotta go faster, come on, faster, faster, faster. You be the one in charge of your first student, you. You're getting promoted from student to now teacher. You're teaching yourself the motivation. So you be in control. You be the one that rubs your book and says, I love my job. I love learning. I love being able to read and grow and know anything I want to do. Because I know this about life. If I think I can, I can. If I think I can't, I'm also correct. You can't. You are what you think you are. So let's have a fantastic night. We'll see you tomorrow with a great lesson. Today, congratulations on being promoted to teach yourself. The motivation.